Hello. We're back, and it's time to mukbang.
Mukbanging is a thing we do. Not me, but Bill. But I'll drink with you.
Oh, hello.
I'll drink to that.
Again, would you like to do the introduction for this After Hours?
Oh, hello, everyone. Welcome to After Hours, where we apparently sit on our high horse and talk some shit about the rest of the world because we are better as white men than everyone else.
Pause.
Just kidding. No, I did like. I'm just kidding. that is like, but I mean, it's like old. It's like
halfway there.
Old white dude comes to a place and starts shaking his fist at the sky, and like, what do you want?
Listen,
what do you want?
Listen, you motherfuckers. I'm the only white man here. All right.
Yeah, no. Well, is it because I report myself as Hispanic on my?
Yeah, you're Hispanic. What's your ethnicity, Nathan?
I am actually, so the name Cherokee Sioux is 100% unironic. So my father's side is Cherokee and my mother's side is Sioux. So I have my family, like if you trace my lineage, is literally from the, like they taught you in school, the man with the hat. So, Sioux Nation is essentially the swamp part of Illinois and southern Tennessee, and Cherokee Nation goes from North Carolina through South Carolina down into southern Tennessee, and they kind of marry. So I just thought it would be super ironic that a prime individual had this like native. Anyhow, soapbox jumped off.
No, it's fine. I was asking.
Good.
Right. So, all to say, I'm the only white man here. So, I'm just saying.
Yikes!
As a person of privilege,
that's a little bit.
As a person of privilege, As a person of privilege, y'all can just shut the fuck up, okay?
Like, if you want to get
canceled, listen, I'm talking right now, so. And this is how it goes. Great.
And we're back.
And
we haven't offended enough people.
Not yet. No.
Right. So continue, if you would, with the what is After Hours?
After Hours is the time in which we discuss amongst ourselves, maybe the episode, maybe things that are happening in and around our worldview. It's pretty open-ended for the most part, as far as I can tell, because like Bill does most of the talking, and I either agree or disagree with him on some kind of fundamental level. I encourage him not to talk about politics because just don't. And we try to get through like where and why and who the characters are and what we're doing with DreadLore and really elaborate upon like where the story it's the id or the ego. I don't know. Like, I'm not a psychology.
This is the after party to Bachelorette or whatever the fuck America is watching. I don't know, dog.
It is definitely the after party to what was a shocking episode that I entirely expected because I've been following along for a long time since the beginning. And I would like to explain why at some point.
Do it now.
So Dolby, it was a flip of the coin. It was like, do we stay and work this shit out, or do we go and just ignore it? And Dolby is absolutely going to gravitate towards, okay, you guys got problems. I was given a mission, and I'm gonna ignore it. So that's why they pieced the fuck out, and went on to Novus Terra. And brought along an enemy that Dolby was very interested in cutting into two pieces, potentially. So, like, what happened was not unexpected. but if we're not all just dead at the end of it, I'm sure that there is a way that Dolby can somehow, in his tiny little brain, make everything all right in his worldview. And honestly, he wants to retire, and there is no place better than a weirdly colored, oxygenated dream world called Nova Terra, where maybe he can fuck off.
You know what's something funny to me is that I truly believe that Cherokee Sue, you have drunkenly on one of our adventures in between Cryo, you have pitched this to me. And I, you know, because Bill and I have talked about this before. Our characters have a strange chemistry that is unexplainable. And I feel like that is the perfect fucking example. It's like, we don't really care about the mission. You're just trying to get through the job so that you can be your true self. And Jimmy Buffett, R.I.P. Jimmy Buffet, you know, parrot yourself on a beach. I don't know. Maybe I'm speaking for you, but
we're chasing rainbows. I mean, I feel like that came up earlier on in today's episode. It wasn't chasing. It was a TLC song, wasn't it?
Don't go chasing waterfalls.
Waterfalls.
Anyway.
Yeah. There you go. We live in a fascist society, and how often, not us per se here in the United States of America, where freedom is freedom, but in the world of Into Space, it's very much Dolby was out of character. Dolby was out of character when he went to his commanding officer and kind of slipped this note under the door, because he didn't trust the commanding officer, even though he was told that he should have trusted the commanding officer of this station. He could see that they were trustworthy, and this information may kill this person. Like Dolby.
Yep.
Dolby kind of knew that, like, by
you're damn right about that.
I don't know anything.
Yeah,
I mean, because
you guys are literally years away now. Like, there's no way to go back. So I can tell you a couple things. So Commander Donna Laura is, by all intents and purposes, a good character. Now, I don't like to use good, evil, all that stuff, because, you know, she's a person.
It's a
fictional person. But she is actually a benevolent entity, or competent at least. So when Dolby did that, which I was surprised, because I figured that you would err on the side of everyone's in on it. That is one of the better things you could have done. That said, the truth, which I can't tell you because it still applies right now, the truth about the magistrate, there's a plot twist there. I mean, obviously, plot twist is maybe the wrong word. There's a mystery there. And
the magistrate is a RI for sure.
And it drives. Well, I love that.
It's a great theory.
Well, yeah, I was actually talking to who was it? I think it was Drizzle about this, and I was like, you know, I can't. Maybe it was you, Ken. Actually, I can't quite remember. It was this idea that George R. R. Martin mentioned. At some point, when you have enough smart people getting, which all of you obviously are, and storytellers and creatives, if you put too much thought into it, which is a good thing, you're gonna guess the answer. I'm not that clever, right? Like, you're gonna, at some point, you're gonna be like, wait, is this it? And of course, you're gonna get it. So I can't truly have the conversation about the plot twists. That said, my point was, you guys did I think really you touched you got to the pulse of, I don't know what the expression is. You touched the pulse of where the mystery is happening, and move forward. And then you got some revelations at the very end, which should ask more questions than they answer.
No, I actually disagree. Like, I think that
I'm saying they should. I'm not saying they did.
yeah, nope. Dolby did not go there. Like, Dolby
He just had an idea. He was like, "That's it."
if
I
if
thought
Dolby
too much.
wakes
It's over.
if Dolby wakes up and has a pulse, and I
will.
expect that Dolby may not wake up,
He will.
like, there is going to be a very short lifespan. Not to give this away, and like as the arbiter, I'm sure you'll weigh this. A very short lifespan for
The sergeant.
the sergeant.
You are going to, and I can't
Dolby.
tell you. I can't tell you what's up.
You can't tell me. You can't. You
but what I
absolutely
can-
can't. You gave me like.
Can I make a comment on me as a person? Because I feel like Bill knows this about me. So like hypothetically speaking, and Bill, you can weigh in on this. If we were to watch a movie together, me and a random person, and I've seen the movie, but the person hasn't, I feel like I have a tendency to pretend along with the surprising moments to allow the person to enjoy the experience, whether or not I know information. Like, I know the jump scare's coming, but I won't ruin it for somebody else. True or false?
I mean, I don't know. We haven't had enough interactions when it comes to movies like that. The only thing that
It was
my
a
only
metaphor, but I get your point.
my only experience.
I was
my only experience with
definitely,
you.
Sorry.
Go on.
No,
Go on.
You?
No, I've been talking the whole time. Fuck me.
I was gonna say that there. Spoiler alert. What is that? Dax? It wasn't Dax. What was the chicks in Star Trek? She dies.
Dax.
One of that.
Yeah, Dax.
Was it Dax?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't Dax.
It was Dax.
It was Ro. It was Ro fucking dies. Fuck you.
No,
like literally,
Fuck you.
Ro fucking dies.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Okay, so here's the thing. First of all, Dax is the one who dies, and so does Ro.
So
It's
fuck your
Jad-
spoilers. Who cares?
Jadzia Dax is the one who dies, and Ezri Dax takes her place in season 7 of Deep Space Nine, and
So if there were rails,
well, the thing is I mean, that series ended in 2000. Let me see. It was 90. I think it was 2000 is when DS9 ended. Voyager ended 2002, I think. Anyway, it's been a long time. If you don't know it, come on. As for Star Trek Picard, that's relatively new. I mean, it's been 2 or 3 years since season. No, it hasn't. It's been like 1 year since season 3.
Yeah, it's early.
So that's a big spoiler. And when he dropped that, I turned and told him he could go to hell because that really sucked.
Oh, he dropped it for me too because you told me.
Yeah.
Somebody told me about it. I had nothing to do with it. I was watching it. I was in that, and we did.
No.
that
It
for
happened at a
audience right
game. We were playing Into Space,
now. Yeah.
and one of the players turned and said, "Oh yeah, this happened," and I was like,
yeah, I was there. Oh shit.
And you were there. We were both there. And I was like, what are you talking about? And to be honest, I really don't know why he said it. I think he thought I think he really thought we had seen it.
Yeah.
And then when I was like, dude, are you kidding? It's literally my favorite character. It's literally my favorite character in Star Trek. And
I had the biggest crush on Ro. I mean, I feel like if I just outed somebody and spoiled that, I mean, honestly, all the new Star Trek is, to me, is a little disappointing.
We're going to
But
disagree
I don't
hard because Star Trek Picard is
don't-
fucking awesome.
No,
Okay.
I mean, we do disagree on Star Trek Picard. I liked Brave New Strange
Haven't
New
seen
Worlds.
it. Haven't seen it. So let me finish this thought.
Go ahead. Finish.
2 things. First, I'm not mad about it because I watched Star Trek Picard and I knew what was coming, and it wasn't a big deal to me. Like I was like, yeah, okay, that's fine. I knew it was going to happen. In fact, in some ways, I'm glad I knew it was going to happen because she's my favorite character, and I'd have been probably pissed. And I know that the person who spoiled it really did not mean to.
No,
And
absolutely. It was
he was
like,
like-
I feel like I reacted on this podcast because of that. I mean, just to show like overreaction.
right.
But
what
the
I'm trying to
reason we're
say-
talking about this, right now, is because Nate. What is, I don't know the handle. There's too many fucking handles.
Jazzy Cabbage. That was my
Jazzy
second point,
Cabbage.
getting back to what Nate was saying.
Jazzy Cabbage drops the fucking lore on us.
Sometimes you have to go around the world to cross the street. Sorry.
Tell us what's going on. That's what I want to know.
Oh, I can't tell you shit.
Why not? We're in this. We're in this world.
Out of game is what you're saying.
We're metagaming as fuck right now.
There's no meta game. We're out of game.
We're super out of game. But there was this
Hold on a
super
second.
saucy...
There's a burning smell. I'll be right back.
Oh yeah, you need to check that shit out.
Yeah.
No. Now what I will do for chat is I will elaborate on Cherokee Sue's background, and I think that will answer some of your questions. Not your questions, but like
Dolby has no
the
idea.
overall questions.
Literally no idea what is going on. Cherokee Sue is like, they connected on a interpersonal level, and so like I don't think they talked about history. So like it's interesting for me to know the history of Cherokee Sue.
That's what I was thinking, because I think without spoilers, I can actually do a history lesson here and talk about because some of the things that are important overall is the background for Cherokee Sue, because Cherokee Sue's a quiet person and isn't going to talk about these things in game necessarily, but I think that they're all driving factors in what information is going to be allowable.
Like there's a lot of stuff going on with the background. So Cherokee
thank you for understanding what I was trying to grab at.
So Cherokee's Sue is from Prime, and he's
Exactly.
running from his family, and so like a lot is going on. I was expecting, Dolby was expecting, or not Dolby, but out of character, out of game, I was actually expecting Cherokee Sue to do something to the ship, or to do something in order to keep the ship there, to keep us in Seoul. And I presume the reason we left is because Cherokee Sue was running from his family, didn't have all of the information in place, and maybe didn't want to engage in that moment to whatever it is that they were experiencing.
Why do we have so much chemistry in tabletop RPGs? Kenneth Paltrow, talk to me.
Well, I mean, I feel like they're characters that want out. I mean, I know Dolby wants out, and Dolby can't get out. Like, there is no. All Dolby sees is the war in front of him, and it's endless. It's an endless war. So when Dole had
imagine. I want you to
when
pause
Dole
that
had his
thought.
moment.
Imagine being indigenous to Prime and knowing that the endless conflict that occurs there and all that. And then what it boils down to at the galactic level. But I'm just And I think that's the thing that we've always appreciated character level is like, I think that unintentionally, you always knew that I was more than Sergeant so and so. It's like, dog, that dude has dirt in his boots.
Well, it's sad that no one that we didn't stream that first episode where we were on the planet. That didn't happen, and nothing got destroyed, and there was no artificial intelligence.
Not a single thing happened. Nope.
Not not a single thing happened. It was all blatantly not
imaginary.
happening.
Nope, I don't have any dirt under
it
my
wasn't
boots.
Imaginary. It just didn't happen. So the answer is there are 4 lights. There are 4 burning sensations, even though there's 8 of us. But yeah,
just...
the answer is we are dealing with fascism and seeking a way out, sort of subtly and in a passive aggressive way.
Imagine what it's funny that you say exactly that. Imagine how indigenous people felt during World War II while Japanese people are being thrown into internment camps.
Absolutely.
The fucking unintentional irony of being isolated from your homes while you've already been fucking 4,000 miles. I'm being ironic, but I feel like you get my point. You're displaced, and you're watching hysteria happen again. This isn't brand new news. I mean, correct me if I'm fucking off base here, but it seems as though, from different perspectives, imagine, oh Jesus Christ, what is Buddha, fucking Krishna. I don't know. We can edit this together into fucking 4 cuts. What's the movie? Oh shit! I lost my train of thought because I got hung up. Oh,
you got hung up into a very religious moment.
I did. No.
There was aware, but I feel like you were talking about displaced indigenous people. You were talking about locking people. I mean, under the guise of freedom, internment camps. I definitely had experience with George. I'm gonna do it wrong because it's not George. Because if you say his name wrong, like, it's bad. It's with George from Star Trek, and who has the last name.
He has the last name. It starts with a P, I believe.
No, it starts with a T, as in. But he's Japanese, and he has spent a lot of time.
Oh, okay, my bad. I'm fucking up. Continue. Sorry.
From Sulu, and he spent a lot of time, certainly more recently, and talking about life in internment camps, because he was in internment camp for the duration of that war, and grew up in that feeling what it was like. And he described vividly in interviews that I've done with him about how everything was taken away. Everything was taken away from his family, and
it starts with
they were put on a bus and they were brought out into the desert and made to live until the war was over. I mean, and this is a war that ended with nukes. So, I mean, Dolby, like, to go back to that, Dolby thinks that he has control and thinks that he can just walk up to the leader of this society and say to the leader of this society, just walk in, because he's got a spaceship with a nuke,
2
and
nukes.
say 2 nukes.
Well,
I can wipe.
go on. Tactical nuclear weapons.
Yeah, I
There's
can
something
wipe
so
out your
beautiful
society.
about what you're saying. I can't
I
wait
can-
for you to finish.
I can end your society. All I want is you to send one of your freighters full of shit back to mine and sign a little fucking piece of paper saying you're gonna fly the ship back and forth with some shit on it. You can lead however you want. I don't care.
There is something so beautiful about being indigenous. You're literally of the land. So it's like you're a forgotten person, and you're like, I made the comment about being the dust caught in your shoes. And it's so fucking true. Is like we watch the world, what's so fucked up is we watch our world, in quotes, devolve. I got too close to the camera. Devolve in chaos, and it sounds, yeah. Ooh. And it creeps me out sometimes because, and there's some things that obviously I'm not going to talk about, but it creeps me out, the narrative that Bill and I unintentionally lined out, and it feels very adjacent to kind of what you're saying. Is it's like you're looking at essentially two oppressed peoples staring at each other in sympathy and hoping for something better.
Yeah, I think that Star Trek, and I'm not going to take credit for this. Bill said this. Starship Troopers really nailed it on the head. Rio de Janeiro in Starship Troopers is a bunch of white people. I mean, there is some diversity, but for the most part, it's white people. I'm gonna let you take. I'm gonna give that to you because that was not my this world is so modeled off of Starship Troopers that the only way you can escape it for Dolby, because I can only make it personal to them, is to leave the solar system, and when he was given the dossier about fascists or the people that took over Novus Terra or Novus Prime, he thought they were kind of cool. And that is because the reflection of Prime Soul and Nova Terra were so similar to him that he couldn't tell the difference. And he was ready to go.
I love
feel
that.
like
So Bill, can I ask you a question?
Yep.
How much, so this is something that we were talking about while you were gone. My background, I feel like, affects the situation quite a bit. So, as Cherokee Sioux, so how much am I clear to just kind of info dump about how Cherokee Sioux's background puzzles the situation?
What do you mean?
So, like, I don't want to spoiler or anything, but we had a lot of
we all have secrets. Dolby has secrets.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, what? Well, I mean, actually, literally, what I said. What do you mean? Because that statement could mean a lot of different things. What is your actual question?
So my actual question is how much of my background can I divulge here? You're talking about your
fictional background.
Correct.
Okay.
So if I were to be like, a bonus bio, because that's something that we were discussing, is like kind of how my bio is causing and affecting things that are currently happening unintentionally.
So the disclosure
Without
would be everyone who plays in this game, okay? So I'm going to be a little bit long-winded, as I want to do, to get the whole thing out.
Please do. I love it.
So this is part of a campaign that I'm eventually going to release, called the Come Get Some series. And the long and the short of it is there's 10 modules that can be played however you want, between one-shots and actual like 5, 6, 8 games mini-series. So it could be like a full-on campaign. There's 10 of these. And the story is you start at episode 1, of course. You're Space Marines that just got out of boot camp. And very episodically, you're given a new task. But depending on what you do, who your characters are, how the outcome is, that determines the way that you engage the next episode. So, the idea is this. Every one of your characters affects, to a great degree, what happens in the game, because that's what DreadLore is. The players are crafting the story. It's a cooperative storytelling. So, if your background had been something like you're a space farmer that wants to terraform everywhere he goes to, that would influence the game. And not just like, I'm a rogue, so I do rogue shit. No. Like, the game is going to be crafted because you're one of the players. To answer your question, your background, as in Cherokee Sue's background, definitely influences this game. That said, it doesn't change what the episode is doing. Like, his background, what he is attempting to solve in his major and minor goals. At the beginning of the game, you didn't really know much about what was going on, as in because you hadn't played yet. You hadn't played with these characters. Your major and minor goals will likely change because major and minor goals are not really personal. They're about the story that's being told. And
side note, Nate's character actually received a minor goal if he listened to me, and that was to get off the station.
Yeah, so he did get one.
If that was that a minor goal that you took? Did you take that goal?
I think you're muted.
You're muted.
Jaja.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't want to unintentionally peek over you, so I muted myself. My minor goal was to get off the station unrecognized.
Yeah, which you did.
Which
so that
I
is
did.
a minor goal. So that means you get a pip and you get an experience point.
Well, fucking right.
And
Where's my sheet at?
nobody, we didn't go in a round, so you didn't drop cunning or breath. But technically, you'd get one of those back, but it doesn't matter. So you get 1 pip and you get 1 experience point.
Well, that's sick.
Yeah. And you need a different minor goal now. The idea then is your minor and major goals should have to do with the story that's being told. That way you can accomplish them. Whereas if you had a minor goal which was, hey, I want to do something with the people on Prime, well, you're never going to... That's not within the scope of this game, right? Now, it might be within the scope of the campaign, but that's past this module, which is called Novus Prime. So there is a name change, Novus Prime and Novus Terra. There's a reason for that, but you guys haven't found out why.
Oh, I call it Novus Terra because that's what it says in my notes. Should I be calling it something different, or will Dolby continue to call it Novus Terra?
It has 2 names.
Does Dolby know different names? because I'm gonna stick to what he
It
knows.
would be Novus Terra, or it would be Novus Terra.
Okay.
So the colony's name is Novus Terra. I think Dolby could know both names because I think this was in a communique when we were chit-chatting. And I'll say the thought. One of the sort of plot hooks that Dolby was told by Lieutenant Calabash was the communique that came through, the bit of intelligence, is about 8.5 some odd years old. And it shouldn't be. Like, this was kind of lost potentially because it was the first session and we were all getting into it.
Yeah,
Novus
Dolby was
Terra.
not paying attention.
So can I ask a side question here?
No,
So
no. Let me finish.
No,
let me
let him
finish this.
finish.
No, sorry.
This is important. This is really important.
You said 8.5 years old, and it posed a question.
Yeah,
about that.
important.
Please continue.
Keep a hold of it, but let me finish this thought. So
Sorry.
it's actually. So the idea is, it's a little bit of like forest for the trees stuff. What Lieutenant Calabash said was this: we just received a communique, intelligence, from someone, we don't know who, that there's been a coup d'etat on Novus Terra. It's been taken over by these rebels, but we really don't know much about them. Your mission is to go and essentially find out and make sure they're in the fold through whatever means possible. Because it is a colony that's off the beaten path that no one really cares about, no one really hears about. But then when you started looking into it, it should be a colony that people care about because it is a severe cobalt and nickel mining world. And the person who founded it was an important colonist a couple hundred years ago. And the governor that got assassinated, Alexander Bell, was a pretty prevalent SSA diplomat or official. So there's this idea that there's more than meets the eye going on. Well, here's the thing that Lieutenant Calabash said. If you go as fast as Zens can go, then you are essentially going the speed of light. You're not going that fast. It's math and all kinds of crap, but we don't need to get into it. But you can essentially say, if something is 10 light years away or 4.5 light years away, that's how much time you'll spend in cryosleep. There are technically ways of getting around that, but that's generally the idea. And the time difference is about that. It's a little more. So if you spend 4.5 years in cryosleep, then the world is going to experience about 5. Okay? It's about like that. Why is the communication so old? Because for a communication which travels the speed of light, to get from Novus Terra to Sol, if it was just traveling the speed of light, it would take 4.5 years. But communications actually travel the speed of light. And this is where the math comes in. In those gravity lanes, there are transmission buoys. Essentially, communications can travel about times 4 whatever the distance is.
Sure.
That's the fastest. So at the most, this should have taken 5 years. For some reason, it took 8.5 or 10. And Calabash said, we don't know what happened. Who knows? The coup d'etat could have failed.
Sure.
But somehow this was sent to us, and we want you to go. This could be a wild goose chase. We don't know. And that's one of the reasons you're in a gunboat.
That it's expected. What is on Dolby's mind for all of this is an RI incursion.
Oh yeah, there's some big medicine. Nathan, what were you gonna say? You said side note.
Okay, so we need to go. No, you guys just got so far ahead. I was like, oh shit, do I even bother going back?
Edit. I mean, your character is a prime character, so Dolby gives your
Okay, cool. So
character
it
a lot
is
of credit.
relevant that I ask these questions because I'm trying to come. So this is you talk about the why. I feel like I'm
Okay, hold on one second.
oh
We are in
yeah.
an ad break for the next 40 seconds, so I feel like you should like, follow, and subscribe. Also,
Do
if you would like to buy the book, please do so. At the what is the name of the book place?
Hold on. I have the book
Dreadlore.com.
close.
Dreadlore.com. You
Dreadlore.
can look at our link tree, Dreadlore link tree, or the Patreon if you just want to give us money to make this podcast, because it's a lot of time. I mean, I know I spent a couple of days a week on this, and I know that
I give you my pen.
Bill, he puts his life into this stuff. So we are not Hasbro or whatever owns AD&D. We are humans that
Peoples.
and Bill wrote this book. I think it's a fun book, and it's like encouraging terminology. It's encouraging creativity. It's encouraging thought. It's encouraging interpretation and the ability to take what's on the surface and maybe go beyond it. So I
It's
think
more than dice rolls.
Yeah, you don't have to roll natural 20s to win. That's all. We're out of the break. Please
be in the
forgive
moment.
me for
So
interrupting the fuck out of you, Nate. You were saying something.
No, I was with you. I so love. Again, I give the heartfelt. We're out of the ad break, but the thing that makes DreadLore so beautiful is if you are into improv, as an example, this game caters to being in the moment, trying to make a decision. Whereas I feel like, because I've tried D&D in the past, and I'm not trying to be shitty, I'm just saying that I feel like I'm hindered by the dice, and Samuel L. Jackson literally says in a masterclass, I'm going around the world across the street. Don't let the lines hold you hostage. Understand the premise of the scene. And the thing that makes DreadLore so beautiful is that it allows you to understand the premise of the scene. You use traits and you use abilities and you use things to be present in the action and in the moment. And you don't have to rely so heavily on the dice. I'm not saying that you're not going to roll dice. You will get shit on. I'm just saying it leans more heavily into that interaction. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, that's exactly the goal. And that's another reason why, well, to use the word, why. So a lot of gamers, I do not want to get on a soapbox.
Don't do it.
A lot of
You
gamers
stand on that soapbox. I'll put you up on it. I'm holding your butt cheeks, but not in a sexual way.
a lot of gamers or players, they do kind of this third person over the shoulder style gaming, which is perfectly fine to do. It's not very immersive, which is a style. But what they fall into a lot of time is telling rather than showing. And in pretty much every story format. I mean, you guys do films and all kinds of creative things. When you tell instead of show, it's boring as fuck. No one cares. No one cares. No one. I've had people argue with me. And they're like, oh, no, I want to know why. No, you don't. No, you fucking don't. If it's in-game, you're telling why. For example, why did you slam that thing in my face? Why did you space that dude? This is all in-game. This is drama. But if you say, okay, I space him because here's this thing in my background, no one gives a flying fuck. No one. unless it's part of the drama or it's a player telling the other players, getting on track. Hey guys, just so you know, I'm about to do something. There's a reason. Okay, let's rock and roll. Telling why, explaining your thoughts, no one gives a shit about.
I promise you, Nord wanted to do this. This is a big thing. Nord knew where the magistrate was going to be. Ava Cyrus, or not Nord. Fuck Nord. Oh my god, Dolby.
Nord is
Dolby
the red character.
Yeah, Dolby. Nord knew too. I mean, they both knew. There's no question. Nord was sleeping in his fucking bed. He just hooked up with this prostitute, and he fucking knew. They both knew. Like he
and
woke
then they
up
had
out
this
of
like
sleep.
mind meld.
He knew, and he was mind melding to tell Dolby that he needed to go kill this magistrate, Cyrus. Kill her. Just kill her. Like he was going to go to this place, stand behind her with someone. No, literally, like he was gonna take the person that they met, the sergeant, Duststone, and like walk up behind her and say, oh, and like pull his laser sword out or electric
and murder
sword.
her. Yeah,
and stick this laser sword up the back of her neck. Like that was
Am I gonna
where
get
his
to
mind
mush
was
somebody's brain with my fucking bear paw? Are you gonna let me do that?
You guys were gonna get to do a lot of interesting things when. So the next game, the next session, I see. There's one of three things. Maybe all, but likely one of three things, potentially two of three things that will happen. One, it's you getting to Novus Terra, which there's a potential that the entire session could be you getting there.
Sure.
That depends on how you guys play. And it will be interesting and dramatic. Yeah. The second is you get there and you find out certain things about it. And, well, what do? I mean, that's going to be a whole thing. The third idea has to do with the aftermath of your first two decisions. So I don't know how long that will take, but there's plenty of game left in this module. And I think that you could avoid all combat. That's part of DreadLore. You could strategically work this out, maybe.
Dolby
but I think there's going to be conscience.
Dolby made a conscious effort to not do that to protect his crew. Like
that was a good move.
That's why he did that.
Yeah, had you attempted to murder the magistrate, which by
because
the way,
it wasn't confirmed. It was not confirmed. Like he did not get
confirmed.
confirmation. It's not confirmed now.
It's still not confirmed.
Like it's not.
I was
confirmed.
gonna say that was the one thing that we could agree on. Like me as the dummy with the muscle, I was like, there is not a fucking ounce of evidence.
Well, there
not to backstory. The backstory.
Evidence. I mean, we have her picture. We have her picture. We have her sign-in ID.
You have a video.
We have a video. You know, it's just as likely as, and I, you know, this would be some bullshit like synchronicity that it was actually.
I am not saying anything, but go on.
Yeah, you can't say any. If it turns out that like.
It is written down. I'll tell you that. Like what these plot twists are,
if it
are actually written down.
And
I'm not going to change it.
If it turns out that Sergeant Duststone,
I could totally be fucking with you.
Put the magistrate's face on and like did this shit to my crew, like Dolby's crew, like not my crew. I don't know.
No, it's your fucking crew, dog. And that's the thing. I think that turned me into, this is a big deal. I think initially I was not, because if you guys remember, I wasn't a teddy bear. I
No.
was gruff and I was mean, but something changed. Like you said, my crew, there was a personal connection. I felt like as we went forward, I felt unintentionally a soft spot for people that got wrapped up in things that they don't understand. And that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I think one thing that Nathan, you and I talked about, but we actually didn't tell Ken. Or Ken, you may have heard it. It was before the game when we were all talking, and you were in and
Dolby
out.
doesn't metagame.
Indeed.
Well,
This has to do with Dolby and actually what Dolby technically knew. I just don't think that we told the player. Technically, the reason that Cherokee Sue came to the station, they had pulled some strings through various means and had found out where Dolby was going to be. And the idea is that, at least how we talked, Dolby knew that Cherokee Sue might arrive in some fashion.
It was a surprise. It was a complete and utter surprise.
And we forgot to tell you.
Yeah.
So essentially,
which is fine.
So you remember when I unintentionally dropped on you when I came up to you? I don't mean to cut you off. I want to drop this nugget of love on you. And I mean this like as Cherokee Sue's big. The character didn't start this way, but like I felt this warm spot and where I felt like you needed to know I was dropping you hints, like right, like I don't know. I'm gonna hush.
Well,
Dolby
this
doesn't see like Dolby's character is like a pipe. It's like a pipe with two tubes. It's a 50-50 call.
But I got
he's gonna go
sense.
one way or the other. Like that, he is like a freight train.
I can't get obvious.
And he's on the track, and the track is gonna go left or right. And
So
your brain's the L, dude. It makes
can see
sense.
the switch
You're gonna
down
be
the
a block
way.
within reason.
And if it's like a third option, that doesn't exist for him.
Interject.
I mean,
help me out.
But that's metagaming and like
no, it's not metagaming. That's not metagaming.
or out of game.
No,
out
help me out. Well, I mean, Bill, am I off rails here? Help me out.
No, you're not off rails. But there's an issue of communication that's going on between players. So the point that I was making, Ken, is the original idea that Jazzy Habbage and I were going off of, that we did not tell you about, was Dolby actually had a sense that Cherokee was going to be there, potentially. You didn't know if he was going to be or not, but potentially. So we didn't tell you, and it went the way it did, and it was fine. It was fine. It turns out it's not. But the thing that has to be adjusted, Jazzy, is the realization that, because we're not going to retcon it, Dolby did not know that you were coming. So there cannot be the assumption at this point, unless Cherokee's just being obtuse, which is fine if he just wants to be blissfully ignorant of it.
There's
But
something beautiful about
it is
being unintentionally obtuse.
Well,
continue. I apologize.
Obtuse is not unintentional. Obtuse is intentional ignorance. So the idea is, unless Cherokee is just being dumb, because he's like, I refuse to believe that Dolby wouldn't, that's on him. But the point is, so the player knows Dolby did not know. Right? You can do with it whatever you want. You can be
fuck. Okay.
You can be bliss, whatever.
The question here.
But the player needs to understand what actually was going on, because the game does not inform out of game. Out of game informs the in game. It doesn't go the other way.
So when I was trying to unintentionally telegraph my relationship, my old relation. See, this is what I didn't realize I was doing this. That makes a ton of sense what you just said. I kept trying to unintentionally telegraph rapport with
Right. Well, what was happening was this, And it was fine, but the issue that was starting to develop, which you guys actually navigated very, very well as two players, and sometimes this doesn't happen, it is perfectly fine for players to get on the same page. This is what Nostalgic was saying when Drizzle jumped in and was like, hey, out of game. And Nostalgic was like, hey, isn't that metagaming? And I said, no, it's fine for players out of game to get on the same page, and then to move in game, you just don't use that out of game knowledge.
Sure.
That would be metagaming. Getting on the same page
Dolby-
as players is
Yeah.
fine.
Dolby
you
struggles a lot with metagaming, but I'm interrupting you for a reason.
Go on.
I'm interrupting you because I know Ken knows what's going on. Ken has every knowledge of that, and Dolby plays really tight. So unless somebody comes to Dolby and says, "This is what you know," it doesn't happen. Like,
Yeah,
Dolby
that's called
doesn't
not metagaming.
know that.
Yeah, that's great. What I was going to say to Jazza Cabbage was this. It's fine to go from out of game to in game, because when it comes down to it, the player is playing the character. Metagaming is when the player uses out of game knowledge in game. That's metagaming. And it's essentially cheating, and it hurts the player and the story.
One of the things that
makes sense. And
one
I
of the
don't mean
things
to
that
cut you off, but I get why we had chat that was saying, not trying to say, they said, hey, yeah. That's why I was like in cryo for so long. That's why,
Yeah.
you know, like because I get that. It's
You were
like,
cut
it's
off.
so difficult.
You were cut
I
off.
was cut off. It's so difficult as a human not to pay attention. Because like I said, you know, you alluded to this, whatever.
Alluded.
Bill, thank you, Bill. We had to set up circumstances that made sense that I can't disclose based on my history and the story and blah 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 blah. And it's so difficult as a human being to disconnect from all that knowledge. And that's kind of why I was like, okay, I'm in cryo. I need to disconnect. I don't know this. I don't know that. It's so tough to be realistic as a player. And I want to be honest. And I'm new to this. It's so hard to, and I had my earpiece in all the time because I'm not a shit actor. But listen to what's happening, but know that I'm not there.
So
Yeah,
you guys,
it's like a rebirth. A lot of it is like a rebirth. But if it makes you feel any better, like I'm doing shit, like I'm trying to like go from place to place to place, and in Dolby, like the reason that the character exists the way it does is like Dolby only gets half the shit that is said. Like I try to concentrate as much as humanly possible, but I'm also clicking on shit and like trying to monitor stuff, and I switch headphones, so I literally don't hear everything that happens. So there is a wall between reality and what Dolby hears, unless I hear it on the podcast later.
I don't think you have
you
a
should
problem. I don't think
like,
either.
subscribe, and follow, and share.
Like, subscribe, follow, go to the link tree.
I don't think that you guys have a problem metagaming. What my point is that the out of game informs the in game, but you can't have the opposite. When you have in game stuff that informs the players, let me be clear about this. It's very dangerous to have, as I have realized and experienced, it is very dangerous to have actual secrets that's in between players. There's got to be a lot of trust for that to happen.
Sure.
Okay.
I think the Arbiter, like I agree. I think the Arbiter should know everything.
Well, I'm not.
Well,
go on.
I'm just saying that the Arbiter has a lot riding on their shoulder, and so if they don't have an idea of where the player is going, or certainly like some aspects of what's happening, they can't
Game theory.
engage that part of that story.
Right. That's true. What I'm
And
trying
I
to
think
say
that's
is,
what you're talking about.
well,
but I
kind
don't know.
of. Well, it doesn't have to do with me, is what I'm saying. I'm saying in the scene where you guys were getting out of the cryopods, which was fun, but one of the things that was an obstacle in that scene, and why it took as long as it did, is because the players were not, and you guys were not actually in the same headspace. And the way that you were dealing with it is you were in character trying to get the player on the same headspace. That doesn't work. Because what happens is I'm going to play a character. I've made a decision to play the character this way. You're going to play a character. You've decided to play your character whatever way. Now we're in game. But if my player brain thinks that you're trying to do something else, my character will never actually understand what your character's doing, because my real brain is the thing that's really interpreting everything. And my real brain is wrong. See, you can't go from the fiction to nonfiction. Doesn't work. This is why people, they'll have PvP, and it'll be like, oh, I want to go in this room. That's where the treasure is. And someone's like, oh, well, I stop you. And they argue and argue and argue. It's because it's all in game, and it gets really boring and redundant, because actually it's two players arguing, but instead of just arguing, they're using their characters as proxies to argue.
We had a PvP.
Nothing actually happens because you're not actually having the conversation.
Moment in this last episode. Dolby is really trying to hold on to his first lieutenant status, and when he's getting a big hug from a subordinate that would show favoritism if he accepted it, or any number of different causalities would come from that interaction. So Dolby had to bid,
but you see,
and it could have.
That's the problem. It was a great bid. And you guys dealt with it as players, and it was awesome. However, with different people, that would have devolved into bad. And the reason that it happened was not because Jazzy Cabbage was making a decision in character and Ken was making a decision in character. Both players knew this were on the same level. Your characters were just at odds. That's not what was going on. What was going on was the two players were interpreting the actions differently. Jazzy Cabbage, I'm assuming, you were sitting there thinking, oh, well, my character and Ken's character are friends, so I'm going to act that way. And Ken is saying, well, Dolby is the first lieutenant guy, and so you guys try to solve this in character, but the players are on different levels, and you keep on doing this, and it starts to not make sense in game. There's a skew of, wait a minute, is this an in-game argument? No, it's an out-of-game argument. Because in-game, you're never going to figure it out. At some point, you're going to have to drop out of character and be like, okay. This is what's really going on, right? Right? We're on the same... Okay, now we can go in. Like, imagine being in a scene with another person in improv, and you don't know what's going to happen because it's improv. And the other person breaks a table and starts screaming at you. And there's a moment where you think, oh shit, are they actually mad at me? But you actually think that. Where does that scene go? Are you acting anymore? You dig what I'm saying? If someone, it gets all physical and they slap you, like they actually slap you, you're acting. But what happens when you're like, wait a minute, was that acting? You see what I'm saying? The in-game cannot inform the out-of-game. It doesn't work.
Whereas in real life, I mean, I want to hang out with Nate all the time. Like, I want to hang out with Bill all the time. I mean, I feel like we should just be hanging out, like, in real life, doing movies and doing weird shit and, like, just going for it. But in character, like, in character, Dolby's like, he's got 4 people that he does not know well. One which he suspects of treason. And he's like, nope.
No, I liked. So the next step is, so how do you solve these situations? And I think you guys did an excellent job in solving the situation.
I agree.
Because you kind of felt it out. You bid, you allowed each other to be, okay, you're going to do that. There are repercussions in game. And you kind of both eventually figured it out. And the reason that worked is because finally there was a moment where both players, both of you, said, oh, I see what you're trying to do. And you started giving grace to each other. Go on.
Please.
So you've made the most beautiful comment about how Ken and I operate. It's this characters as people. We give each other this level of grace, and then we meet each other at that level. It's like, oh, this is the standard. Cool, I'll meet you there. And it just feels like a lot of times in game, we try unintentionally to give the other the benefit of the doubt. So there's this level of like, where I unintentionally, as the gigantic teddy bear that I turn into, because initially I played very gruff, and that was my plan. As I came in, I literally, like, if you look at my character sheet, I came in gruff and mean and this and that. And I just kind of realized, as I was like, I think that
you got re-educated, man.
Sure.
Yeah, I got re-educated. There was a level of realism, and this is the thing I love about Ken, the actor / producer / whatever. You know, Ken, the multi-talented, faceted, is
fascist.
In real time. We had to kind of evaluate our relationship based on our last encounter, and that's you know, that was something I was going to ask you as the Arbiter. We're talking about 8.5 years. I was asleep for 10 and then several months. I mean, there's gaps. So I came in, and so what my initial thought, and this is something I want to throw at you, and this is something that I'm going around the world across the street, is that I mean, it's I came into this again. This is what I said, around the world across the street. I came into my relationship with Ken assuming that
you said
everything
Ken, do you mean,
was hunky-dory.
Wait, Dolby. You're not talking about Ken. You're talking about Dolby, right?
Dolby. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. Thank
you.
I'm going to back up.
We are good.
I'm going to back up and re-explain my point.
I feel like I still owe you $50, but I'm waiting to get paid, so I still owe you $50. I haven't forgotten about that.
So this is,
you probably don't know what I'm talking about. So you probably don't know. I invoiced that shit. I'm waiting on it.
So this is that in.
That's exactly the kind of shit I'm talking about, Ken. My Dolby. Like, there's this like.
No, you're talking to Ken.
I'm trying to play on. That's what I'm trying to get at. Is the line is so thin.
Well, so that's exactly it. Because when it comes down to it, the truth is there are no characters. It's just you. Yeah. But that's where trust has to come in. That's where trust to talk about what Ken said with the Arbiter. There has to be trust. I'm fine with everybody having secrets. There just has to be trust. Right? Okay.
And I think that secret really in this episode, because we did deal, like, I feel like we got to put, like, I just watched an episode of Rick and Morty, and like at the beginning they're like, oh, it deals with like suicide or something like that. Like bidding suicide
So good. That was
Spitting
so good.
suicide.
Yeah, I
Like-
love that was your stance. You're like, I fucking hate it, but in like a
Oh
sorry,
man,
continue.
we're on
So-
an ad break. by the
Outro,
way.
I love
Yeah, I
you.
was
I'm
gonna
sorry
say,
I cut you off.
please, subscribe, and share with your friends, because really, if we share with our friends,
We're at 86
And your
followers.
friends share with their friends.
And
their
We're out
friends
of the
share with
week.
the followers.
I am so sorry. I'll stop.
and all of the friends are sharing, and maybe we could all have fancy pictures of thumbnails that we can put on YouTube, where we can all like look really pretty, and we can wear makeup, and it'll be
Y'all
fabulous.
have me past my bedtime, so at this point, it's unhinged.
Buy the book, join the Patreon. 45 minutes, my ass.
Look at that link. Not LinkedIn. That's fucking 2007. Linktree.
Become the best that you can be. Like, serve your nation your
so-
way. Air National Guard,
Best.
Best Buy.
So-
like, I feel like if Best Buy would no, let me finish this. If Best Buy like had a recruiting office, that is where Into Space is. It's Best
Yes,
Buy
it literally.
with an
Or
army
Circuit City's
recruiting.
customer
Circuit City has
service
been
department.
long bankrupt and is now
I got a
very
question.
much in-
I got a question. How much bourbon have you guys drank tonight? Because I'm getting the
All of it.
sense. I'm getting the sense you motherfuckers are beyond me right now.
Are we winning? Or is that?
I
is that
feel
what
like I'm swimming.
Is it a
up
race?
tide,
I-
like upstream. This is because I realized about 10 seconds ago. I was like, I think I'm talking to two drunk guys, and this is not gonna. I'm not gonna
I
get
feel like
any.
I
I'm
have-
not gonna win.
I feel like I have a certain amount of inebriation where I could listen.
I
You
mean,
just turned the ears on.
oh yeah. I loved
Ears on.
I loved the moment tonight where there was a lot of cooperation, a lot of very good pacing at the beginning. When you guys got into the ship and it was kind of the scene between Dolby and Cherokee, it was cringy, which was awesome. It was awesome. I loved the drama of it. And I loved the idea that the players, you two, didn't really know, you weren't really on the same page, but you used the game, the rules, Ken, you bidding, and Jazzy, you actually going with it and being like, okay, I see you're doing something. And then we go into the cryopod scene, which lasted forever. But
Forever.
But
Everything lasts a long time with this game. I mean, it does, and I think that's part.
And I don't mean that in a
Go
rude
ahead.
way.
I feel like
Please
we need
continue.
to let.
And I'll comment
to-
on my perspective of. I have an idea.
now hold on a second. You said you didn't mean to interrupt, and you just
continue.
did. Ken, continue.
I did. I'm so sorry.
Oh no, you were talking. I was going to say something after you finished your comment, but if you want, I can continue.
Continue.
Oh, so the cryo scene was amazing because it was like opening up and opening up again. Dolby did not want to be in that scene. He wanted to be at Novus Terra. That's where Dolby wanted to be. So he woke up and it was like, fuck, this is wrong. And then, the shocking ending where he went to bed and it's still wrong.
It's even worse.
Yeah, it's worse than you thought it was. Failed.
That entire scene was informed by Nathan, or I should say Cherokee, doing
unexpected.
something with Alfred, but actually that entire thing was informed because of the way Dolby engaged or didn't engage with Cherokee. So because Dolby was showing that he was a lieutenant and Cherokee bucked and then was just passive aggressive as a fucker, boom, Cryosleep happens, and he totally undermines Dolby's authority, which causes the cryosleep scene. But it's great because all this emotion explodes, and in the end, the resolution between these two friends actually happens. And I love how that isn't planned. It's part of the drama. It's part of the players negotiating and playing the game. That is success. And then, of course, the end of it being, okay, well, you've done all this stuff. Here's the lore drop. Here's the plot twist. You're right. Alfred, you can't trust him. But what does that mean? And I think the devil's in the details here because Alfred did not need to tell you this. So there should be a question in Dolby's mind. Why did Alfred tell you? He did not need to.
Because
now you could say,
I mean, that to Dolby, like hearing that as he's like, oh fuck, we're all fucked. Dolby realized that Alfred, like there was something that he did that Alfred actually kind of liked.
Yeah, I mean, Alfred could kill you all right now, but he doesn't.
Oh, absolutely. He doesn't.
I think the point is that Alfred has just told you, and Cherokee knows this as well because he engaged with Alfred on a very personable level early on. Alfred can lie.
Sure.
And that's the thing. I think that's the plot twist. The real plot twist is Alfred saying, "Look, I've been lying to you, but I'm gonna be honest with you really quick. Oh, and you need to go to sleep because something needs to happen."
We knew that Alfred was a liar. Alfred was a liar from the start. We knew that. Dolby, if you go back and listen to
I know.
all of the Into Space, Dolby was like, I do not trust you. I wish I could space
this is
you.
The thing that's
like,
hilarious
the goal
to me.
of this whole thing is Alfred needs to like Alfred is the problem.
Cherokee and Dolby had suspicion of the first AI. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
But we did. Yeah, I mean, so we had like the so I've been asleep for 10 fucking years. So like I don't have unsuspicion for AI, but I apparently am a big ass teddy bear now that I've been asleep for a long ass time, and maybe, you know, the more awkward I sleep, the more my brain is soft. But I'm just saying.
It's the joy of minutes of being awake.
Yeah. I just and it's funny because like the routine of the fact that the old the thing that I thought was beautiful, and I just want to note on this is that you remembered the nuance of my relationship with the old AI, and you allowed us to have our moment that we used to have when we would be in deep space travel, where we would wake up, have a drink, talk about what's going to go on, when I was the second in command. So it was this beautiful kind of like, you know, like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like the prequel kind of like you blended the two, and you kind of allowed us to have this moment in a vacuum to connect the two.
I mean, this conversation, I think this conversation has made me think, as Ken, the person, that Dolby is really a cog for the enemy. He is doing things in a way, and he's kind of good at stuff and gets things to happen that he's not supposed to succeed at, and just fucking lucks his way into some shit.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think a theme of Into Space is the paranoia of society. This is something, Ken, you and I were talking about. Because the setting, I mean, it's not serious, but it actually is saying something. It's it's fear. When it starts getting in you, people start being very paranoid. And the world in Into Space is a very paranoid one. You're not allowed to say things, kind of like in our society. If you say certain things, you're bad. And not just you're bad, like your opinions don't matter anymore. You're hateful, you're evil. And it's this very close-minded way of thinking. But the issue is, unless you're just up propaganda's ass, you know the truth. And the scary thing, the horror of this game and the setting, is the realization that there's so much, there's a sea, an ocean of intrigue. And when you start actually seeing it, it's, oh fuck, I don't actually know what's going on. And so you buckle down, keep your, your fucking eyes to the ground and march up the hill. Like that's the mechanism that happens. Do you choose to do that or do you not? And that's one of the interesting things for me. I really want people to play these modules and I want to see, where do their Marines go? At any point in one of these modules, I expect people to at some point say, fuck the SSA, we're going rogue, which is the wrong thing to do.
Absolutely, because you're going to get blown up.
You're going to get killed. But maybe you don't.
The thing is, go ahead. Sorry.
That's it.
But that's every single thing. Like, you are expecting, because Dolby struggles with this every single episode, you are expecting him to turn his back on everything he knows about society. And he has now been detached. Like, I think we've had this conversation, from his family, that in the last episode, he believes is still alive. They're all fucking dead.
They're all dead.
I mean, I know they're all dead, but he thinks there's a place for the remnants of his family, his children, his children's children. Like it's like he's gonna set up a way for them to be set so that they can just automatically become citizens, where the reality is like there's probably no one left. Like, that is gone. Whatever that was, it's over.
The thing
but he's got hope.
Cherokee supports you so fully that I feel like I want to set up a structure that exists. And I feel like that's the thing that Will was hinting on, is like, as our dynamic is, it's like ultimately we both, everybody else is like bleep lore. The two of us are like, the system is busted, the universe doesn't matter, we're all just light and particles, and there's an exchange. And ultimately what is happening is Han Solo being you, me Chewbacca. I just want you to be happy, and I can't be fucking tell me I'm fucking wrong. It's just like we ultimately gravitated to this world where, like, I, as an indigenous person running from my past, I'm not trying to delve too much into it. Tell me when to stop. I'm hiding, and I find beauty in the fact that there's this light. The operator shines a light in a corner.
I'm going to interject really quick. So, Cherokee is still a Marine. That's the thing. He's still a Marine. He's not a civilian. No. Now, he doesn't have to. He can be insubordinate as fuck. However, let me finish this, because I know player-wise, I'm seriously getting the feeling that you want to buck hard on it. You will get fucking spaced if you do. Like,
you tried to space me in the first.
Yeah, for real. Well, I wanted to see what happens. For real, if Cherokee knows anything, Cherokee got, and this is the timeline. I want to clear this up.
Please.
You guys take about 10 years cryosleep to your first mission. Or it's not your first, but the first one we played. Whisper Base. You blow up Whisper Base. Takes you 10 years to get back to Prime. Over the next few weeks, it all goes to hell. You get bumped down to private. And you're sent, after a few weeks, to boot camp. It's months later. That happened about 2 years ago. Ish. Okay? Then, what happened, which, Jazzy, you know about because it's your backstory. And you got the F out of Dodge. It took you 2 months of cryo sleep to get to this point. So you guys haven't seen each other in about 6 months. Something like that. Ish.
Fair.
6 months to a year. It's whatever it is. It's been a while since you've seen each other.
See,
You both have been
Yep.
been in the re-educated in a boot camp. And this is my point about what Cherokee needs to know. If Cherokee bucks again in the Marines, he's going to either get sent to some Alaska place that he's not going to come back from, or he's going to get disappeared, which is the reason he's on the run, but he's still a Marine. So he needs to be careful. He can have whatever he feels, but he needs to be careful. And that's one of the things that Alfred said. Alfred said, what you guys are talking about, just so you know, is not what you should be saying.
Sure.
The only
Dolby
Alfred
replied,
I feel like
Dolby
we
replied, it
established
doesn't
this is-
matter because he was reprogrammed, just like Brick was reprogrammed. It doesn't matter. We passed the series of tests that we needed to do, and we followed the protocols. So whatever mistakes we made in the past with our free thinking, whatever, we are aligned now.
Cherokee,
I
think
was
Dolby,
asleep. So
I think-
something that I wanted to acknowledge, and I don't mean to cut you off, is that's
No,
beautiful.
go on.
He
Go on,
acknowledged
go on.
that. So I've been asleep. So I assumed, like, imagine like the first mate, the rapport of a first mate and a captain, and then I wake up and there's been a mutiny and we no longer have the rapport. So
Right.
I assumed that we and so this isn't based on let's just
What did you assume?
pretend I've signed an NDA and I don't know shit about fuck. And that's kind of how I've been trying to play Cherokees. It's like I'm trying to play it based solely on the fact that there is rapport between myself and the only person that I trust.
Yeah.
Period. Ever.
And you have
And-
the hope
and-
that it's still there. Yeah, and that's awesome.
And thank you.
And the thing is that to a degree, it is still there. But Cherokee needs to understand that, I mean, he doesn't have to accept it, but he does, especially with Dolby. But he does have to, for him not to realize, I mean, he went through re-education boot camp just like anyone else. It just apparently didn't work on him. He just acted like it did, and maybe he was able to pull some strings and kind of get out of the brain training and all that shit.
Well, he is
It
a primer, so he's got privilege.
Yeah,
Dolby does not have that.
right. It shouldn't be a super surprise to Cherokee that Dolby is acting the way he is. Now
thing
he can have the.
It would be a surprise in a way that as a person.
Well, you're missing my point.
You don't check on you don't check on your tough friends. Was the point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're kind of missing my point.
I'm sorry.
What I'm saying is, let me just be blatant. Ken is playing a character that has been reprogrammed. So the player Jazzy understands
the bullshit.
Ken is playing a character who has been reprogrammed. So it doesn't matter what Jazzy or what Cherokee thinks. because Ken is playing a character that's been reprogrammed. Now, an interesting story might be Cherokee attempting to pull that away, but the player, you have to understand that Ken is playing a reprogrammed character. That's where he's coming from. And Ken needs to understand, which I think he does, that you're playing a character that's trying to get him out of that. Then when we go into the drama,
so.
And Dolby doesn't see that. I mean, he like accepts.
But Ken does.
I'm trying to pander. Thank you, Ken. I'm trying to pander to that unintentionally, without.
Right.
It's tough.
You're not gonna pull Dolby out of that easily.
Well, I don't.
It's gonna take. It's gonna take a bit. And if you go back and watch, like when he talks to Dole, like that shit's from the heart. Like that was a heavy moment. Like
that was
and he
one of the best moments. I loved when you pulled that bit out. I was like, oh, just got real. The players have to be on the same page. Jazzy Cabbage needs to understand what Ken is doing, and Ken needs to understand what Jazzy Cabbage is doing.
Yeah.
Then, as players, when you guys are in game, you understand and you can play around. But if you're trying to use your character to convince a player, ain't gonna happen. Will not happen. Either way.
The entire last episode was a private Burgess. He was throwing boxes down a hallway, and Dolby was like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
And I unintentionally pandered to Burgess by giving him boxes to throw. So I'm just saying,
it was so good.
And it was like that we took a little we went deep into this. Why are you throwing the boxes? And how do we make this okay? So if it means anything to you, Dolby is trying to reprogram
Burgess.
Private Sue.
Oh, Private Sue, right.
There was a weird soft spot in my heart for Burgess too at the bar. Not to cut you off, Ken, I apologize, but I really did, and that was something I felt. I really did. I felt that was something that we didn't talk about with how we framed everything. There was we didn't, and again, I don't want to talk about how my history frames things. I'm not going to fucking do that. But what I am going to say is that we framed things so much more rugged, and unintentionally, people found my soft spot.
Yeah, it's great. I like Cherokee Sue. I like the idea that there's a character that it's kind of like when I played 40K, that probably shouldn't bring that up. In 40K, do you guys know what 40K is?
I do.
Absolutely
okay,
not.
It's similar to what this is. The idea is everyone thinks the same, and if you don't, you get burned alive, basically. However, and I'm serious. However, it's cool to have a character that doesn't believe it. With Cherokee Sue, it's pretty obvious that Cherokee Sue doesn't believe it. But at certain times, he's got to walk the walk. Because if they don't do the bear dance and get out of the eye of Sauron, Cherokee Sue's gonna go down.
Oh yeah,
that's the thing. That's the thing. So Dolby, I think in a way,
the beautiful relationship between Dolby and Cherokee Sue is that you help me walk the line. Right. You remind me of the paint on the road, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but that's it. That's the thing that makes our relationship so beautiful, and I think that, like you said, I unintentionally came at it after his reprogramming. I'm like, dude, I don't think it was about him. I think it was about me. I came at him and I'm like, I need you to remember.
But that's the difference between somebody from Primer or somebody from Gamma Mead.
Yeah, and that I would love to have. I hope in the next game or whatever, there are moments where you guys actually drill into the why and how of what you guys are doing. And when I say the why and how, I mean in game. The in game idea.
Sure.
Because what's going to happen next game when you pop out of cryo is you're going to have to deal with there's some decisions that have to be made. And
Fuckery.
it's going to be you know, you're not going to be railroaded, but you're going to be in a situation that is extreme. Because you know, you're on a spaceship. There's kind of nowhere to go.
Yeah.
And we're
No,
Right?
I expect some extreme and to be disadvantaged.
It's gonna be good.
I mean,
It's gonna be really good.
it's been a while.
I think that's
like,
kind of
not
the thing
not
about
to talk
Cherokees
about
too in
like if we're
Dolby.
gonna look at the character sheet, like I have used up like most of everything that I have.
Oh yeah, we'll do. Continue
I'm
on.
empty. I am empty.
Yeah, next
all I can do is fight. Like that is literally the only thing I can do is fight.
Look at the sloppy brain dump.
next session will
That's really
likely
clean.
be
Beautiful.
next session
is-
will likely be a new scene, so you're aware.
Yeah. No, a new scene would be good.
It will likely be a new scene.
If we, but that's not
it was
that's
so
not
funny
necessarily
to
true because
unintentionally.
we woke up in the same scene, one of the last cryo sleeps. So anything that we did before we woke up and the cryo sleep did not erase that scene.
Right.
But Dolby was ready for a fight. He was looking for a fight. He was gunning for a fight, and he's ready for a fight. So like. If
like, I
he
get
wakes
my
up,
sword.
he's got no
The
armor
thing
on,
that's
so his plot armor is not going to be like high.
Because
But he's
I
ready.
made the joke about us
ready.
being both hypoxic and having similar symptoms. Like we come out of fucking cryo both high as a kite, ready to fucking fight. Like so, like we're both like ready to go.
I think
One of
there's
my
an 80% chance that he's going to wake up out of if he is awake enough to realize that he is awake. He's got a sword with him. He's going to cut that other character in half, the sergeant in half. He's just going to wake up and cut her in half. Like that's where his brain is at.
An animal at
Like,
you,
it doesn't
granted, the
even
animal's
matter.
undisclosed.
You guys are
Like-
just talking over each other. One of you shut the fuck up and let the other one talk. Oh my
No,
god.
please go ahead.
I'll shut up. I'll shut up.
No, I
Good.
feel like
Now
he's
I
gonna-
can talk.
Yeah, please talk.
So
45 minutes.
that's right, 45 minutes. So, favorite scenes of the night. We're gonna have 3. So, what is your first favorite scene? Doesn't in no particular order. What's your favorite scene, Jazzy Cabbage, of the night?
I'm not gonna lie, it was when we got everybody involved in the cryo scene. Everybody was so confused. But the thing that I forget about as a player / person is like me and Dolby are in the know. And we wake them up, and we expect them to be in the know, and it never fails. We always act like they're in the know. We can't help it, so we just keep going. And I just loved them being like rubbing the sleep off their eyes, and we're just like, life is in crisis, and they're like, ah!
And everyone has this entire scene, like the suicide scene, and you're all fucking naked as shit. Like you're just standing there,
wasted.
with like there's like a cat. Dolby has like a belt with a sword on it, and you're having this scene. And then you have half the fucking crew still in cryo sleep, like just staring at you. I loved it. Okay,
Oh,
Ken,
it was brilliant. It was
first of the 3 encounters that you would have to say
Like-
were your favorite.
I mean, the most intense for me was when I had that moment with Dole for sure. Like, I mean, you said it. I went to white as a player character. I went to how do I make everybody feel pain and walk away from it. And it was like that. It's like, what can I do to hit some buttons? Because it is real. Like, it Dole, what he was going through is a real thing.
Oh yeah.
And so it was heavy on that. It was heavy on him, and he was ready. And
did you know, like, there was some telegraphing that of what was going on with Dole?
yeah,
Did you,
no, I mean,
as a player, knew what was going on,
I mean,
or did you figure it out?
it wasn't until something happened. Like,
Mm.
Dolby will allow someone to do whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
It wasn't until like he was awoken and like by the RI and it wasn't until they said, "Hey, this is going on," that Dolby suspected that he wanted to kill himself.
Yeah.
And
Can I throw something in right, like literally put a wedge right here? So
That's up to Ken. It's,
Ken,
well,
tell
his
me
floor.
to fuck off if you want.
I do want to.
Let him finish.
Dole made. Let me finish.
Finish.
Dole made some choices. Dole made some choices to cheat on someone he truly loved, which is some fucking bullshit. And
Yup.
anytime you cheat on somebody that you love, like,
Multiple
that's
times.
your own fucking. That's your own shit. Like, don't do that.
Yep.
And like, as a person who's been cheated on, like, don't have any other expectations, because anytime you get cheated on, you're gonna find out. Like, you will know. It doesn't matter if they tell you or not. Like, you will find out. The person who gets cheated on will find out. Dole did not Dolby didn't let it go. Like, Dolby made that clear for the ship. And so Dole went through that experience, and it was public, and Dole did not. He let it go because Dole doesn't care. People die.
You mean Dolby
And
doesn't
Dole,
care.
or yeah, Dolby doesn't care. People die around Dolby all the time, and he has an expectation that everyone around him is working towards the same goal, and that personal issues are left at the door, because he is a military career, and the only way that he can wake up every single day is knowing that everybody is on the same page with him, and can push away any emotion or feelings behind, and that pushing those feelings behind creates a hole inside yourself, because you're not actually engaging those feelings. And so that's why that scene is important, is because, like, he struggles with that stuff in his own life.
Oh yeah.
Over and over and over and over again, and feels responsibility for everyone that dies around him, but has no way to articulate or let any of that stuff go. So, like, he had an expectation that Dole would do what he did, which is push that down, because it's no big deal. And
that's not what Dole did.
And that's not what Dole did. So honestly, it made Dolby angry a little bit at Dole.
Well, Dole, to go a little bit on that, that is some serious insubordination. Jazzy, what were you gonna say?
So,
your wedge?
My wedge, yeah, no, we were absolutely on the same track. And the thing I wanted to wedge was like, I think that unintentionally, Cherokee has trauma and pain that is parallel to what's going on with Dolby. So they're able to identify crises in different ways. And I think that ultimately, unintentionally, and this is the thing that I enjoyed fully in that scene, was that we address the crises in different ways, but based on the information that was available.
It was cool. All right, let's go to Jazzy. What's your second favorite encounter of the night? When I say second favorite, I'm just number 2. It doesn't have to be in any particular order.
Mhm.
And if you want to think, we can move to Ken as well.
So yeah, skip me. I'm back.
I know I've got it. I love the encounter with the commander.
That was
Like,
a cool scene. That was a cool
I
scene.
knew that I was murdering her. Like,
no, you didn't. You don't. You're not murdering her.
Like, I don't
just got her in trouble.
know that, but I had an expectation that giving her this information of
that
the
it was going to cause
magistrate, that like and I had, like, because the episode before, I feel like that was the goal at the start, and 2 episodes of End to Space before, the goal was, I need to inform my superior officer.
Yep.
Who better than the commander of the ship? So that was a goal. Like, I feel like I didn't have it written down as a minor goal, but I feel like Dolby got a minor goal because
he informed, mark it down as a minor goal. That makes sense.
Yeah, he informed the his superior officer.
Yeah, so it's 1 XP and 1 pip. And if you have, I don't think we've had much combat, but if you have, you technically recover 1 cunning and 1 breath.
Yeah.
That's what you get for a minor goal.
So that was going to be something I passed by. It was the incognito-ness of my situation. Me passing by unrecognized and unscathed, does that surpass my minor goal?
Yeah,
absolutely, and I think that's an important part of the character, but I would say that, like, Dolby knew the weight of what he was saying to
which is great. It's great.
And,
it was a very
he didn't
cool
want to
scene.
say it, and he didn't like, he made sure to, like, look at the way she reacted to the scene and the way she was handling herself. Like, oh, my spaceship just got fucked up. Like, I feel like that would be clear to a person who, like, she wouldn't probably sabotage her own spaceship, but if she did, she would be handling it differently. We hope.
And it's actually something that wasn't said, but depending on the next few sessions, you might find out. So I won't say it. There is more than meets the eye there. But go on.
Dolby used something that people would find as a weakness to, like, get on the same page with her, because that could have ended with Dolby just killing this person.
Yeah.
Like, if she reacted differently than what he thought, if she was the mole, if she was the saboteur.
You got all Anakin Skywalker on that ass.
Like, yeah, no,
Saboteur.
absolutely. Like, it would have happened immediately if she had reacted in a way that didn't fit the way the SSA wanted it to be.
Right.
So if
And honestly, I feel like if you looked at her cross, even in our weird relationship, I feel like by the end of the encounter, I would have squished her fucking head if she was even slightly. It's like the end of an anime where, like, there's like that awkward resolve between 2 friends. Like, I felt like the thing that was my second, there it is. There's my second. And to the audience, the studio audience, they probably don't realize the relationship, the ultimate relationship between Kenneth Paltrow, ultimately Dolby, and Cherokee. There is. I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
That would be a pip right there. That's good. That's a
thank you.
good
I'll take
screen
that.
name,
Where's
dude.
my pen?
You should definitely fucking use that.
I'm gonna write down that pip. Don't you forget it.
That's good. That's good. It's almost as good as Gamma Mead. God, Holker.
Yeah,
Oh my
that was solid. That was
God.
a solid
That's
joke.
so good.
And what was the other one? It was about Orbit. He said something about Orbit. Oh
No,
my
he said
God.
something about Olympus, like the drink.
Yeah,
for the moon.
like,
it was
but-
it was a
oh, man.
it was like a Olympus martini or something.
Yeah, it's the Olympus Martini. He's so punny.
Oh, he's good. He's good.
He is so good.
He is good.
Anyway, okay, so you were saying your second favorite? Jazz
You're gonna have
Cab?
to get me back on the rail. You're gonna have to
All
get me back on the railroad tracks.
Well, I'm gonna say one of mine.
Please.
Please.
Obviously, I think all of those are great. I liked the scene. I really liked the scene with Drizzle and the NPCs with Alice Brick. Alice Brick is such a cool character.
Yes.
She's this. I don't want to say African American because she's not African American. She's from the moon, and she's Irish. She's literally Black Irish from the moon. And I'm trying to figure out a way of describing, because it's 400 years in the future. A lot of people live in space and they don't have tans. And they have like kind of a sickly look. So I don't know what that is. It's like dark skinned, as in lots of melanin in the skin.
So artificial UV light does some weird shit to your skin.
Oh, really?
Not to cut you off.
No, really. That's.
And so unintentionally think about, like, let me phrase it differently. Think about people that tan too much. So people that
But see, she's not
that
tanned.
are,
She's not tanned.
well,
She's
what
she's
I'm getting at is people that are melanated, that are under artificial UV light, which hypothetically I'm imagining, spacer ships and all this bullshit. There's UV,
Oh yeah, you gotta have it.
All that
You gotta have
bullshit.
it.
Right. So if you're a melanated person, UV light is going to affect you differently. So you're probably going to hypothetically be darker, to your point. So I'm over here trying to support you.
What I mean is, I haven't figured it totally out, but at this point in the future, no one, or very, very, very few people, are any one race. What we would consider one ethnicity. You're all just a bunch of Zens. That's the point. But you can have darker and lighter and different features and stuff. So
I mean, that all has to do with distance to the equator regardless, so that makes perfect sense to me in my head.
Just for ease is why I say, oh, she's African American. She's really not. There's no America in this game. So my point.
Sure.
Alice Brick is an interesting character, and I really like how in the past sessions Dolby has interacted with her, and I liked how in this session Skip Trace did, because she really has become, I think because of the last session and the mission Dolby sent her on, she's starting to become an actual member of the crew. And I think the paranoia and the distrust that was initially there is kind of been patched to a degree. I enjoyed that scene with them. It was a quiet scene. I liked the scene with Skip and Josh. Because Josh is a competent character. But as we've seen in previous sessions with Dolby and Josh and their interactions, Josh doesn't get it. Right? Like, there's an innocence to him. And I think that there's been a couple scenes where Dolby's sitting there like, you need to be careful. I'll cut you in half with my laser sword.
That's not true. I don't think Dolby has ever like wanted to hurt Josh. Like I think
No,
that
he's just a
Dolby
bleeding
is
heart.
Dolby has always respected Josh and respected Dole.
Mm,
Both of the characters, they they are so unimportant to Dolby. Like
right,
they are in the background.
right.
Brick, like Dolby and Brick, they went through the shit together in different ways. Like he can empathize with where she was and accept her back into the fold because he has been accepted into the fold multiple times. Just like with fucking Burgess and
Mm,
even Private Sue, like we are allowed to make a lot of mistakes, especially little mistakes where like if we don't fall in line, it's not about falling in line. It's just like we are and the analogy I think is funny. We are basically a pinball and like you don't know which way we're going to get bumped, but as long as like we fall in just the right place, we can get bumped back up. You know, and the trick is to get bumped into the right place.
well, that's another idea about the setting, is the Marines, the PMC is what you're called, the Prime Marine Corps. Um, you guys are given a lot of hell, but actually once you're in, there is an investment in you. Like they're not gonna just disappear you. They're gonna try to make you a Marine because it is an investment. Now you are
And
meat for the grinder.
sure.
You absolutely are, but you immediately have set clearance. You are on the track to becoming a citizen of the SSA. Um, you have more gravitas. You have more worth than the average person in the human empire, if you will. Okay. Last thoughts. We'll say, what's your third favorite encounter? And when Jazzy comes back, we'll get Jazzy's, and then we'll end the stream at that. So, which one of you wants to go first?
I'm gonna let you go first and then come back.
Okay.
The third favorite encounter. I liked it that you took. I think you said this was at the top of your list, but I think Burgess needs a night on the town, and like needs to be able to like be let out of their shell, and so the moment where like you entered the space when Private Sue entered the space and woke up, they were like, I need a fucking drink. And like that is human. That is so human. I need a moment to like get my bearings and be caught up. And like Burgess needs a
drink.
needs a moment because like Burgess doesn't have any moments. Like that was taken from that character.
When I looked at him and you let me call him smooth-brained to his face, that
So
thank
funny.
you, Ken, for. I mean, you just smashed the hammer on the head. I felt like I was back when Burgess was able to be a person for a second. Because the only thing I remember about Burgess was that he was a machine. And I felt like, and this is a weird thing to say, I think, ultimately, but I felt like my connection I'm so sorry, I got the hiccups and I can't stop it. I felt like my connection was through Burgess, ultimately to Dolby, and I felt like I couldn't get there without, letting Burgess be a person for a second.
It was cool. It was a really neat scene between you and Holker, and I love the fact that Holker went with it. And I like how there was still inertia at the very end, and he played with the idea of waking up. I loved when when Dolby actually checked on him. It was like, "Are you waking? Are you sleeping okay?" and he's like, "I'm not sleeping at all." And Dolby's like, "Oh." Now it makes a little more sense. Oh.
And hopefully that
Good.
will help. That will help give some more dynamic. Because if you can't sleep, you can't live. That's the full statement. If you can't fucking sleep, you can't fucking live. It's not your fault. Like, it's not your fault. Like, that's
It's
the
a
answer.
condition,
If you can't sleep, you can't live. It's not fair. It's not your fault. That's I don't know what that is.
All right. So speaking of sleep, it is late as F for you guys. We're gonna end the stream here.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's stop it. I agree. It's time.
It is time. Jazzy Cabbage,
It's time.
thank you for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. It's awesome.
In this whole
Oh,
thing.
thank you for inviting me. Now that I have the hiccups,
Come back again, please.
Yeah, next time.
yeah,
next time we drop.
I'll sneak in here anytime. And God damn it, I'll sneak in here anytime you invite me.
Next time we drop Interspace, we'll do it. I think next week we'll be doing, assuming that Andrea is back, we'll be doing the Red Writ.
The red.
The Red Writ. Because we need to jump into that and actually, we don't want the iron. We don't want the fire to cool down too much. Anyway,
Absolutely.
we will do it again. We're gonna close it up. Ken, you want to do it? Or you want me to?
Thanks, Couchfire Media, for being awesome. Because honestly, there's no production company that I love more than CouchFireMedia.com.
Not one. www.couchfiremedia.com.
www.couchfiremedia.com. Thanks to our patrons, like hint, 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 hint,
Hint, hint,
hint, hint, hint, hint, hint.
hint.
Tim Roberts, the
Boom.
reoccurring star, and Daniel Holker, our narrative NPC.
Yep.
They are champions of helping make this content continue to happen. Without them, we would surely fail into the black hole abyss of nothingness. Also, thank you to the wonderful music provided by all our case letters and Mr. Interrupt. They are pretty weird, unique, and stylish with their tempos. Though you can't see them.
Sick. It's sick is what
Just-
it is.
They get us into the mood. Set that mood, and you can find their music on
Everywhere.
all of the platforms. Please put
Use them on your social
TikTok,
media. That's what I do.
the social media, whatever social media that you might run into. Thanks for the cast of this: Daniel Hooker, Drizzle, myself, the Arbiter, Bill Bunkum, and our special guest tonight, Jazzy Cabbage.
Oh yeah.
And
one last thing. Thanks to Derailed Thought Train for following. Also, Chatty Corpses. Thanks, Jazzy Cabbage. Big, huge, serious thanks to Kentucky Fried Dice again for jumping in the chat. Also, resubscribing, which actually costs money on Twitch, so we appreciate you. Harry Bunkum, thank you for resubscribing on the old Prime. And thanks for Nostalgic dropping some narrative points, reminding us to hydrate. All right. That is all for the night. Everybody say bye. Bye.